Hi, my name is Shelby, and I'm happy to be on Bonded by Trauma today. I'm here to talk about my story and experience with the Route 91 shooting. Yeah, so I grew up in California, Huntington Beach area, and then we moved to Minnesota as a family when I was 13. Obviously, it was, not by choice. It was like family job move. And then I've lived in Minnesota, went to college here. I live, in the Twin Cities, and I work a 9 to 5. I like to go out and travel, just the normal stuff. And then me and my sister, we love going to country music festivals. So we decided to go to the Route 91 festival that weekend, yeah, 5 years ago. My sister, it was her birthday weekend, and we both love country music. And uh, another just part of the story is my family, they own a magazine, so we get to go to events and write about the event for free tickets. So this was my first time going to Las Vegas, and we were also getting free tickets in exchange for giving them media coverage. So yeah, first time at Route 91, my sister just reached out and asked if I wanted to go. So I went with her and her boyfriend. So it was just us three in Vegas the whole weekend. And the first 2 nights were a blast. We were having a really good time. Yeah, I just remember it was just a really fun atmosphere. Like everyone was just in good spirits. Like we felt like invincible, we were going out, we were having drinks, we were going out to the bars, walking the strip, and we were staying in a nice place. And I just remember like everyone was just really it just felt really calm too. Like everyone's just like country music, everyone just wants to have a good time. And if you drink, have a couple drinks and just sing the songs, and it's all about family and community and all that. So we were just having a good time. Trying to really I remember the first night they gave us the wrong tickets, so we actually got to go backstage, and we got into this free like backstage party. So we were hanging out with Midland. I didn't even know who they were. This was before they kind of blew up more, and we just had like all the free drinks, and it was just really funny. It was like, how did this happen to us? Like, we were supposed to be back here. And then the next day, we just kind of laid by the pool and then got ready again to go to the concert. And it was just really good vibes. Like everyone we interacted with was awesome. It just had a great, just overall, just a great like ambience vibe, if that makes sense. I remember we kind of all woke up a little hungover. We definitely went out the night before. And so that day we were like, we're not gonna drink today. We'll just enjoy our experience. Let's just go and get some pictures and just go there later. We weren't planning on going there until later because um we also really want to go to the festival to see like the headliners, obviously Big and Rich. It was Jason Aldean, Eric Church. So we made sure to see all those. And I remember, I think it was Big and Rich was that night, and then Jason Aldean was the closing artist. I remember, I don't know what it was. I might have just been like hungover, but I did feel a little uneasy. I think like we've been hearing about a lot of shootings been happening, like, all over America at that time, and they're still happening. But I do remember feeling a little bit uneasy going into that day. And I didn't know why. Maybe it was just general paranoia, but I did not feel that Friday or Saturday. Um, and then, sorry, weed is legal in Vegas. We were smoking that day. We just wanted to get high and relax and just like, as soon as like Jason Aldean was done, yeah, we were just gonna go home. Like we were just like that was just gonna be like our chill night. I remember halfway through the concert too, like Jason Aldean, we're like, should we leave early? No, let's just stay. Like we're all tired, but let's just stay. And so I don't know. It could have ended a lot differently if we left early, but yeah. But I just remember kind of going into that day. It was relaxing. It was our last day. We didn't want to like go too hard. So but yeah, definitely feeling of uneasiness. I mean, that's the thing with trauma. Like you don't forget. So I remember we kept moving to different spots in the crowd because like everyone was smoking and the cigarette smoke. So I remember we kept moving. We kept moving closer to the left side of the stage. I believe the bullets, like they were shooting like the right side. So yeah, I remember we were just sitting there, and then all of a sudden we heard like three pops, and in my head, my whole body just went cold. I was like, "Oh my God, this is a shooting. So this isn't fireworks. Like those are gunshots."
You knew right
And
away.
then oh, right away, I had a feeling. Yeah, I mean, also when you're smoking weed in a big crowd, you're a little more hyper vigilant too. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I cannot believe this is happening. This can't be real." And then yeah, and then after that it was just non-stop like machine gun. I've never really, I didn't grow up around guns. Like I'm pro second choice or Second Amendment, whatever. But like I never grew up around guns. Like I don't know what they sound like. These bullets sounded so close to you. It was so loud. I could not believe it. And it was just like one after the other, like how a machine gun goes. And so everyone just drops down and you just get, I've never experienced anything like this before, but you just get tunnel vision. And so you start sprinting, just get out of there. And thankfully, we were in a spot where we were able just to like quickly get down and just sprint. I lost me and my sister and her boyfriend, we all got split up. Like, I don't know what it is when that stuff happens, like, and you just want to get out of there. Like, I completely forgot anyone else existed. And to this day, I'm so grateful nothing happened to my sister or boyfriend. That would have been awful. And they were the same way. As soon as we ran out, I remember people were tripping over each other. I had cuts and bruises all over my legs. Like, we didn't know if there were people shooting on the streets, in the air. Like, we didn't know it came from Mandalay Bay, as they say. Like, we didn't know that. So I remember we were just kind of running everywhere. Like, what do we do? Like, and then my sister called me and I picked up and she was like sobbing, like, oh my God, I'm so glad you picked up. And we didn't know where her boyfriend was. We found out later he decided just to run all the way back to the hotel. We were probably a mile away from the hotel. And then I remember everyone was just, we didn't know where to go. So, and this was before police knew what was happening. So I remember there was this like condos across the street, condo rentals, this random like European couple that, they like a heavy accent. They just said, oh, you can come in here to like take cover. Do you want me to tell you all about this night?
Yeah,
Everything? Yeah. So I remember, yeah, they took us in and it was just a moment. Okay, we're inside. Your adrenaline is this high. And yeah, I literally was like, are there people gonna be like going door to door, just like shooting us? Like we didn't know what was going on. And I remember we were all kind of hiding like in like the bathroom and just kind of like the kitchen. The lights were off. And then I remember people kept piling in too. I don't know any of these people, and people were crying. There was a guy freaking out, like saying like we need to barricade the door, and he was like he was like being really loud and almost to a point like we don't need this energy, like you have to calm down, this is not the right thing to do right now. And I remember they brought in a girl, like she had like a gunshot wound to her leg, and so they were taking her in the bathroom, like fixing her up. And I remember I called my dad. I was like, and it was Minnesota time. It was probably like 2 a.m, maybe, yeah, 1 or 3 a.m, I don't remember. But I called him and I'm like, there's been a shooting at the concert. And he was so confused. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Dad, there was literally a mass shooting. Like, it's not on the news yet. We're hiding. And he was like, oh, okay. Just stay where you are and I will monitor the news. And yeah, it was pretty crazy. Then I remember, everyone's just kind of in there, like on their phones, just like trying to like just update people what's going on. And then finally, after 2 hours, we kind of got the okay from police to just leave. And so I walked back with this random couple. They walked me back to the hotel. And I remember at the hotel, there was like broken glass everywhere. There was blood. And outside, I remember there was like dead bodies underneath white sheets. I didn't see, but I remember walking past and seeing that there were dead bodies. So people got shot. They're walking out and they died on the way to get help. So yeah, it was really surreal. It was nothing I'd ever seen before in my life. It was crazy.
You're what hotel did you stay at? And once you got there, once the adrenaline wore down and once you're alone in your thoughts, what's going through your mind? And what are you doing? Are you looking at the news and trying to find out what the hell is going on?
Oh, absolutely. So I remember when I first ran and like took cover, I was just kind of like focused, like, okay, like we just got to get out of this situation. So I didn't cry at all. Like I was actually comforting people, like, hey, like it'll be okay. And then I remember walking back to the hotel. It was the Marriott Vacation Suites. It's on the strip, but like a block off the strip. And yeah, I remember Sherilyn's boyfriend met me there, and I just broke down crying when I saw him because I finally felt like safe, and I was just like sobbing. And he wasn't crying. Like everyone affects trauma differently. We go up to the room. We're just, yeah, I mean, I knew I was safe, but we're still just like, did that really happen? Like we just kept talking about like what what's going on? Where's my sister? She and a group of people actually ended up breaking into an airplane hangar. I don't know where this was, but they broke into it to take cover. And we were just, texting back and forth. My family's texting me, my dad's calling me. And then we all kind of had a few glasses of wine because we were so just like up here watching the news. And I think that I just couldn't really believe that had happened. I was 23, I think, when this happened, and nothing like that I've never really experienced like a trauma like that before. So I was just kind of like, didn't really know how to react. Like, I always lived life very just like carefree, like nothing bad can happen to me. So something like this, I didn't really know how to process it. And I remember Sherilyn, oh, actually, what happened? My sister got home and she brought a random girl with her that like got separated from her group, didn't have like her ID, keys, anything. She was covered in blood because she was helping people that had been shot. And I think a girl maybe died in her arms. I don't know, but she was really devastated. We're still like in, like social media friends. We check in on each other. But yeah, I remember that night we were all just like disbelief talking about it. I think I finally went to bed at like 4 or 5, got a couple hours of sleep, woke up the next day to, I'm not even gonna lie, probably 100 or 200 messages from people that just were like, I heard about the news, I knew you were there, like, oh my God, are you okay? And yeah, honestly, the next day felt really surreal. It was like we're going back to normal life out in the light. We went to get Starbucks and we're just like, we literally just survived a mass shooting. Now we're getting our Starbucks and now we're going home. Like, this is insane. Like, I can't believe that happened. So yeah, it was really surreal. It was a very, very sad situation. Just awful.
Shelby, in the next following days, was there any type of contact with authorities, investigators, detectives that were trying to ask you any type of information, or was there any type of compensation for what you went through, or did you just kind of just went on your way?
Yeah, so I don't think the cops contacted me, but a lot of news outlets, like, they knew I was there. I have a public profile, or maybe someone told them I was there. So Star Tribune, a few places just contacted me to get the story. They just wanted to, hear what happened. And then so down the line, eventually, like, this trauma caught up to me and I started getting really bad anxiety. I hated going to work. I was just unhappy in a lot of areas in life, anxiety and depression. So I started to go to therapy. And then there's a program for victims of this situation where it pays for all your medical bills, like, related to this. So that was a compensation I got. Like, thank God I had that. So I was able to do like a bunch of therapy sessions to kind of, get back to equilibrium, I guess. Yeah.
Once you got home, what was the environment like with your family, and how did they embrace them? And do you see a change in them? Have they been robbed of their happiness and their sense of being, or just being able to go to the grocery store without feeling some type of nervousness or tension or anything like that?
Yeah, I would say we all are definitely a little more on edge. Like, I'm a lot more cautious now, like, just in every area of life. No matter where I go, I always make sure there's like, I know the exit, make sure I'm not stuck in like a crowd. We don't do that anymore. We're on the outside. My mom was just, I don't know, they're just like worried, like, oh my God, like, are you okay? Tell us what happened. My dad he was in the Navy growing up, Navy military, so he's kind of emotionless. So he is just kind of matter of fact. But they always say if I'm ever going through a hard time, it's like that's because of your PTSD, and I'd say a little bit of that is true. Like, I think every year, like with the anniversary, I start getting really bad anxiety in my head. I think it's just your trauma, like, kind of reminds you of like what happened, how you felt. Yeah, my friends were all horrified and disbelief when I told them the stories. My coworkers, like, everyone would just like, they couldn't believe it, like, when I was explaining what happened. And I guess at first, like, trauma doesn't really hit you at first. Like, you're just kind of telling your story, like, yeah, it happened. I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I'm okay. I feel my heart goes out to everyone that that was affected by this. And then months later, your trauma just catches up to you, and it just, yeah, you start feeling anxious going out in public. You you stop wanting to be in like small spaces, don't want to be put on the spot. So yeah, it really affected my like job. I was also in a job I was not happy in. Right, actually, before I went to the concert, I got a new job and I was gonna start it right when I got back. And then they heard that I was in the shooting and they offered for me to like, delay my start date. But I was like, oh no, I could start. And then it just ended up not being a good job, like a horrible fit for me. And also just was starting a new relationship too when that happened. So it was a lot of change at once. It was a lot to deal with.
Oh, Shelby, what do you think, if anything, was it that helped you get through these moments? And like you bring up anniversaries, of course, man, I can only imagine. It brings up the past. What do you think it is that helps you maybe go through these dark days?
I would say just talking to friends and family. My sister, she definitely was affected by this as well. She, like, we both have anxiety, like, stemming, I think, from the situation. So we talk to each other. We still, like, we'll talk about it time to time. And I feel like that just really helps. It's just talking about it and then doing steps that you can to, like, better your mental health. For me, I try to work out all the time, yoga, eat healthy. Like it's just simple things to like I'm pretty prone to anxiety now, so I try to do everything I can to like keep that under check. And just really like protect my energy. But yeah, if there's ever moments where I'm just not in a good headspace, definitely reaching out to friends and family to talk about it. Or and therapy. Go back to therapy if needed. So that's what's really helped. And also, what actually does help too is that they came out with a documentary online on Paramount about Route 91 and just watching that and just realizing, oh, other people have gone through this too. Like this is validating to know that I'm not the only one feeling this.
That's a very fascinating documentary, by the way. It was very well put together. I watched it myself. Very good.
There's a clip of me in it actually. In the very beginning, I took a Snapchat video of us at Eric Church, so it's in the very beginning if you see. But yeah, it was a really good documentary.
Shelby, throughout your everyday life, of course, you have progressed from this, and of course, you have become stronger as a result of this unfortunate incident. You haven't managed to push through this and live your life. But unfortunately, is there anything that you ever come across that kind of maybe puts you back in that stage? Anything in your everyday life that you might, whether it's music, whether it's anything that might put you back there?
I would say not as adventurous or, as I used to be. Like, used to always, I don't know, I guess like I love to travel, but sometimes I get anxiety before I travel, before flying. I just think about the worst. I love, like, I don't mind once I'm there, but I think it's just the buildup and like traveling there just makes me really nervous. I think it's just maybe not having control. Like, I not having control over a situation really puts me on edge, if that makes sense. So that can explain why a lot of people, have a fear of flying. So I think that can maybe go to it. I mean, concerts, I was definitely afraid to go to concerts for a while after this. But I mean that went away. I've gone to like music festivals since then. But I remember the first time I went back to a concert, my heart was like beating. I could not breathe. And then I like calmed down. I'm like, okay, this isn't gonna happen here. Maybe another thing is just like I find that when I'm in a big group of people and I'm put on the spot, it makes me really anxious. I think just you like feel targeted and you don't like know how to get out of the situation. You feel stuck. Like sometimes work stuff would make me a little anxious, but I have been able to cope with that. I've gotten over that and I've been a lot better. If that makes sense. Like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It makes sense. What do you think it is that helped you?
That helped me?
Face fears and go to these concerts and festivals and like nothing.
It was honestly just doing it. It was just going out there and putting and just knowing that, hey, I might be a little nervous before this or in my head, but I'm just going to go there and be in the situation, immerse myself. I think that was a good way just to slowly get back into doing that. Therapy really helped me just talking about it. I would say just trying to, just live like a healthy lifestyle as well as help keep me balanced. And then just making sure to be prepared for everything. So I used to be very spontaneous, go with the flow, and I'm still a little bit, but I have to have more of a plan to make myself feel like better, I would say. So yeah, definitely just a little more cautious about things and just kind of having more of a plan. I envy people that can be very spontaneous and think like, just not a care in the world and think nothing can affect them. I used to be like that, and I still have fun. I still like to go out and live my best life, but just a little more cautious now.
Shelby, was there ever any type of final compensation? Did you ever gather up with any survivors and perhaps talks of a lawsuit or a settlement or anything like that for the damages that obviously you've endured?
I think we looked around to see if there's anything like that, but I believe maybe we might have missed the mark of joining a lawsuit. Just like we weren't injured, they paid for my medical bills, but yeah, we thought about doing that. I know there's a few class action lawsuits out there, but I think we missed the mark joining it, so that's okay though. It's okay. I mean, compensation would have been nice, but it's also kind of nice just to move on from it and not have to have that weighing over you like a lawsuit and what's going to happen and all that. So, and who knows if even we would have been compensated for anything. So.
Shelby, if there's anything out there that you would like to see changed, what would you like to see changed?
I mean, back to politics, maybe just better background checks, better security. I mean, it's really unfortunate that the culture we live in and the climate, but honestly, metal detectors everywhere. Unfortunately, we have a mental health epidemic in our country too. People, it's not, if someone is evil and they're gonna want to kill, shoot people, they're gonna do it. But there has to be just better mental health services. Police need to take threats more seriously. You see this across the news. The person who committed a crime, usually maybe they left hints or details they were doing that. So just really taking those things seriously, just enforcing gun laws, banning certain guns, just better background checks, better security. I would just say maybe just that overall might help, but who knows? It's a whole bunch of things. It's not an overnight solution.
Shelby, man, unfortunately, I even hate to say this, but these mass shootings have become a norm, and they are happening at alarming rates, literally a few times a year. Whenever you hear about these things on the news, where's your mind state at? How does that make you feel emotionally?
Honestly, it kind of it's a little triggering, and it's just wow, I can what if I was here when this happened? This is crazy. It makes you really sad. It brings everyone down. It makes you cry. It's just really defeating. You feel like you're having a good week and you're enjoying life, and then next day, oh, mass shooting, and it's just kind of takes everyone back, and it's really frustrating. I feel like collectively, why does this keep happening? How do we keep letting this happen? What is being done about this? How do we even prevent this? I don't know what the solution is. But yeah, it definitely is very defeating, and it's really sad. Yeah.
Do you feel that America, even the public, are starting to not care based off because it's happening at such an alarming rate that it's somewhat, I don't want to even come say that it's normal, but it's just happening so often that it's do you feel like people are starting not to care anymore?
I think people are getting a little desensitized to it for sure. I think we all still care, but it comes to the point this needs to be something maybe the government needs to kind of take control of, because as citizens, all we can really do is just vote for people that align with our interests, that maybe have interests that have the gun control interests that we align with. So there's not really much we can do besides just advocating, make sure to bring awareness to the situations. But in the end, this is a little bit above us, what needs to be done and changed. And I do believe yeah, not a few days go by where there isn't another shooting. So yeah, people are definitely becoming desensitized to it. It's really depressing how common it's happening. But as I said, I think this is above us. Who needs to actually make change? You know what I mean?
Shelby, if you were able to speak to another person, that kind of went through a similar trauma, unfortunately, what would you tell that person if that person is in a deep dark hole, and obviously, they've been damaged emotionally, psychologically? What would you tell that person?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
Yeah, if you were in contact with another person who perhaps experienced something similar as you, another tragedy, what would you tell that person, to be able to somewhat cope through this? Obviously, they've been damaged psychologically, emotionally. What would you tell them?
I would tell them, I guess, what I did, seek counseling, make sure you have a good support system, be easy on yourself. If you're not having a good mental health day, you have to be easy on yourself and just know that like this it will get better. Yeah, just practice, just do the best you can to try to find joy in each day. Each day will get better. Time does help. You never forget, but time does heal. And just try to be hopeful and don't let this hold you back from enjoying your life. I mean, yes, you'll probably go into situations being a lot more cautious, but that's not always the worst thing. It's good to be prepared. Unfortunately, nowadays it's good to be prepared for anything. So, yeah, I would say just as I mentioned, yeah, try to find the joy in each day, have a good support system, and just try to be hopeful for the future. And if you are feeling down, don't beat yourself up about it.
Do you feel perhaps, maybe friends, family members, just close acquaintances, perhaps have this obligation to be comforting, or to just to be there for an individual who is experiencing something like this?
Yes and no. For me, I don't I see it as when I was having a bad day, I'd want to reach out to my family and they would comfort me. You don't have to act any different or tiptoe around your friends. I mean, you some of my friends maybe thought they had to, be a little more like sensitive about certain situations, but it's a hard one to answer. It's just kind of like different for everyone. I think there's really no like obligation, if that was your question, but I mean, if you have a good support system, they're gonna want to help you and be there for you and like to make sure you live the best life. Does that make sense? Like they will want to be there for you if you have the right people in your life. They'll want to see you happy and fulfilled and yeah, living your best life.
Absolutely. Shelby, are you would you be able to share with us perhaps some of the available resources that are available for people who unfortunately have experienced trauma?
For sure. I mean, just like local to where I am, I mean, you could reach out to therapists, like trauma therapists. I through the Las Vegas, I don't remember the program, but I think they have a program that if you need any of your medical bills paid for, like they have a program for that. There's apps nowadays, BetterHelp, there's online services. There's like I know there's Moms Against Guns. There's like, there's support groups like that. You can go to different groups like that and talk about your experience or just hear from others. And then also, I mean, you can go on like online. There's social media is a great tool to like really share your trauma and try to heal from it. So, absolutely.
Shelby, before we end this interview, is there anything else that you would like to say, or to speak to anybody out there? Last message, anything?
I just wanted to say, yeah, I mean, if there's any survivors of Route 91, I feel for you. I'm rooting for you. Just hope you're doing okay. Heart goes out to everyone that was affected by this. It was a really awful situation. And just, I'm really hoping for the future we can make really positive change. And if anyone ever wants to reach out to me and anyone that resonates with this, feel free to reach out to me. We can talk.
Shelby, I want to thank you so much, sincerely from the bottom of my heart, for taking the time out of your day and doing this interview, Shelby. Thank you. I know you've become a lot stronger person. God bless you, and I wish you so much luck and success in your life. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was really nice talking to you. Thank you for letting me have a platform to share my story. Really appreciate it. And I wish you all the success and best in life.
Thank you.